the manual process, and then on the course, I'll share with you how we're able to really use AI to like automate pretty much all of this actually. And I've been sort of amazed at how fast you can do it now. Uh, so I taught this to about, I don't know, about 30 people. There was a little, I don't know, a weekend thing that I did, and about one guy used it. And I kind of, asked like, hey, how come no one used it? And the feedback was basically, dude, you did my head in. So I said, okay, fair enough. So I put it on the shelf and never to be retrieved. I was always using it in consulting type stuff where someone tells me, hey, I want to break into this market. I'm having a hard time. That's the framework I kind of use in my head. And so I'll share a bit of that, but then on the course, I'll actually show you guys how to like literally, do it in about an hour or so, rather than doing, tons of time on it. So let me quickly go through that. So this is a framework that I sort of came up with or learned or sort of mashed up with many other people's ideas over time. This was when I was in consumer branding, and we would launch, for example, a toothpaste, and you're going against, giant like Colgate, or you launch a body deodorant or something, and you're going up against, Axe and Lynx with Unilever, or you do a skin cream, and you're up against Dove and Procter and Gamble. And how do you survive in a space where they don't really let you breathe even? All right, so that's kind of like where I cut my teeth to kind of like cut a long story short. So what over time, as you were launching brands and trying new things, and started with a number of small things, we realized that all it ends up being is understanding who your audience is. And I know we've been hearing to death, and every person on the planet tells you about the audience. But I wanted to work out, how do you get your audience after the data comes in, not before the data. So you do a bunch of research to work, what my target market for wheels, for example, is someone in their 60s and has got 4 kids and perhaps a lot of assets. And that kind of, if you were to logically think it through, that looks like a right audience, because they're the ones with the money and they're the ones with potential problems. So therefore, they must be a good target. But when you finally run through the data and you look at and you go talk to a sales guy who sold, like, let's say 5,000 leads, and you say, hey, what's the best customer? And they'll tell you something, maybe it's totally different. And you're like, shit, none of my research came up with that. So how did that happen? And that's essentially the process of reverse segmentation, where we have to start somewhere. And oftentimes you'll be working with a client who is so disorganized that they don't even know what the hell's going on, right? Which is sort of what you're alluding to here. And so what ends up happening is you really are stuck, and you're like, well, what do I do? So that's reverse market segmentation. Positioning is, how do you frame something? So we can cover a bit of that. Neologizing is, how do you hide something? All right, you got to hide it enough to make someone realize that it's not a full ball sales process. And then you structure it. So what's the flow like to get something going? And marketing is really the distribution of subjective value. A classic example of that is many years ago, before breakthrough advertising was republished by Brian Kurtz, it was selling for, I don't know, $700 or $800 or $1,000 or whatever it was. And I remember Halbert, or I don't know, someone saying, or Bensavenga saying, it's a great book. I was at the Bensavenga seminar in 2005, and he said, go get the book. And there was nobody selling the book, and you Googled it, and it was like $900. And I bought it. And I bought it because I was desperate to understand what was in the book. It's not a very well written book, by the way, but anyway, leaving that aside. And I was always struck by, because when the book came, I remember my sister or someone had come to visit me, and she's like, oh, what's this old looking book? And I said, oh, I just bought it. She goes, oh, how much was it? I said, $900. What kind of an idiot buys a book for $900? Right? And that was sort of what her comment was. And I said, you know what? That's it. That is a really interesting. Why do I see value? And she thinks it's the most idiotic thing I've ever done. And that's when you made me realize is that obviously all value is subjective at some level. Now, since then, I went down the research, rabbit hole, and learned a whole bunch of stuff about Damasio, who was a researcher. He was doing some research on. So we'll be covering these sort of things in Perseverance West, where what he was working with guys who'd been in the military, and some of them had been damaged with shrapnel or getting hit in the head or whatever. And he found this one guy who had a perfect mathematical capability. So he could do sums, all this sort of stuff, but he could never make a decision. And it just so happened that the shrapnel or whatever hit the prefrontal cortex, which is where the emotional center processes information. And he would take him to a restaurant and he said, can you pick a table? And they would stand there for like 9 hours. And the guy could never pick a table. But you could give him a Sudoku puzzle or whatever. So you could see like the logical function was still well and truly functioning, but his ability to make a decision, and he couldn't work out what the hell was going on. So they put him in functional MRI machines and yada, yada, yada. Subsequently realized, and there's a whole paper around this whole thing. And he calls it, I think it's Descartes theorem or whatever it's called. Anyway, he realized that the brain needs the emotional trigger to fire for a decision to be made. And that was sort of confirmation for me anyway, that you need to, even if someone is logically looking at an argument, the emotional part of the brain has to fire for a decision to be made, even if the emotional brain is not looking at any of that sort of stuff. So I started incorporating a lot of the emotional type stuff in the ads I was writing, the TV ads I was writing, and then later on online. And in fact, there was a test that I did. This was about 18 months ago. There's a person who's doing lots of solar ads. I think they're spending about $4 million a month. And they had kind of, when I reviewed the funnel, I could see there was no low-hanging fruit here. Obviously, it's really hard to spend $4 million a month if you've got low-hanging fruit. So they had kind of extracted a lot of that easy stuff. And so I kind of went back to the drawing board. I said, how do you make a difference to these guys? Because the typical stuff was gone. And I realized that the imagery was not quite right. So we did image tests. These are images on the landing page. And there was one style of image, which I'll show in Persuasion SOS, that made a 9% difference at a 4 mil spend, which is a phenomenal amount of money to be saved, or to be made, I should say, when you're changing something at that spend level. And that once again, I went back to the framework and I said, you know what? What's missing here? How can I emotionalize this whole thing? So then we came up with the whole emotional structure, how to write the ads, so on and so forth. So long story short, I wanted to cover with you guys sort of the manual way of doing all this. And then I'll be sharing with you how to do the sort of automated fashion stuff. So firstly, this is Inventory of Interesting Facts. This came from Gary Halbert. The first seminar when I went to see, I was about 23, 24, I think. It was in Florida, in Orlando. And I remember him going through, you got to have an inventory of interesting facts. And I was like, oh, that's, I'd never seen that before. That was my first entry into sort of direct response, though I'd been doing branding for a while. So he kind of spoke about, what are the benefits, the desires, the problems, and all that sort of stuff. And nothing fancy. You've been in marketing for more than 5 minutes, you'd know all this sort of stuff, right? But what was interesting was he wanted you to document that on a line-by-line basis to sort of see what's who the person is. So take note of the who's. So this way you talk to the sales team, product, the functional benefits, the emotional benefits, any loss to be avoided, anything to be gained. All right. So you're looking for these things here. These days, what you can do is just extract all your comments from Amazon thing. You run it through a prompt, and boom, all this pops out automatically. Right. So that's the kind of like the 2024 AI version of the whole thing. Back then, you had to copy paste and sort and do all kinds. You did a lot of manual work to get anything done. So hang on, sorry, there's a comment here. Yeah, so 9% over the existing results. So let's say if their funnel was doing let's say 10%, then you add a 9% on that, right? So yeah, so it wasn't like 10 to 19. It was a 9% over the 10%. Yeah, but with one change. And then we changed a whole bunch of other stuff, and we pushed it about 16%. That was a total uplift of about 16. All right. Okay, so how to right, how to find your thing. Back then you used to do Google searches. These days it's so much easier with ChatGPT. You just prompt the damn thing and it pops out. Or what you do is you take existing advertising that's available and you mash up 4 or 5 of them, and you ask the AI to find these things for you. Right. So we'll be going through a lot of that sort of stuff to speed up this process, because unfortunately, and then the emotional research these days, once again, you do scraping. There's quite a few scraping tools out there. You just turn those on, you leave it for about 48 hours, and a lot of the stuff is already scraped, and you put it through a prompt, and all of a sudden you get your emotional research done, right? So things like Quora, Reddit. Reddit, I think, didn't exist when I made the slide, or at least wasn't that popular. Oh, there you go, Reddit is right there. So that is what you would do now. Previously, once again, copy paste, and you spend a lot of time just finding information and collecting it and sorting it and all that stuff. And this is why I could see like people have lost interest in following the process. When these days, you know what, you let AI do the grunt of the work, and then you sit with the output to gain the understanding. So rather than spending 10 hours collecting, collating, and sort of sieving through the crap to get the good stuff to look at, that really, you just put it in and it takes about whatever 2 seconds for the prompt to sort that out for you. So you compile the research, you take note of the market lingo. So all of these things, I actually ask the machine now, right? So give me the dominant emotions, give me the market language you're seeing from the copy, give me the market language or the language you're seeing that they're using from the comments. What are the silent sufferings? This is the main one. Sort of what are the things that they aren't even they're even afraid to admit to themselves. All right. So the hidden
How do you share this with the GPT, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. That's the whole point.
How do you do it? Do you like put it into a doc, or do you just copy
Yeah,
paste
yeah,
it
yeah,
all
yeah.
into like
So we take the research, you put it in, you put the prompt in, out pops it out. We copy and paste it into a big doc, and I'll share with you what the big doc does. All right. So then comes a variety of concepts around your issue. Now, not all of this will apply to every market. And so I just want to kind of put them out there. If they're relevant for you, by all means do it. It's often interesting, even when you're looking at something like solar or like life insurance or like a will, what can you learn out of this, right? So, for example, what are you doing before you realize you had a problem? What made you realize, with the moment you realize you had desire, what was the first action you took? And then, describe the problems you face in trying to solve the problem and the struggle to find the solution and so on and so forth. Each one of these little things gives you almost like, I don't know, you've probably seen the bell curve, or which is the graph that people show you for adoption. And it shows you like, the laggards in any market. You've got your main group of people that are going to buy stuff, and then you've got your early adopters, or your sort of your evangelists or your innovators, like right at the front. So, for example, if you were using ChatGPT version 1 or 2 or something, then you could say like you're one of those early, innovator types. These days, we're like the early innovators, or perhaps still in the early cycle. And then about maybe a year or two from now, you'll see bulk of the market. Pretty much every app will have some sort of a prompting thing in it, and there will be hardly anybody who has never heard of ChatGPT. Even today, like it's hard to find people. I mean, I do in my normal life outside of marketing, I'm talking about. You do find people who sort of have no exposure to this, except they know the term, but they've never actually played with any of the tools. So it's still in the early part of the cycle, right? So similarly, like what does the bell curve look like, and where's my market sitting? Who are the people who are going to consume with me? What kind of ads would I run to the really advanced people? So say for example, if I was trying to get an AI course, and I was trying to sell to people who've been doing AI for the last whatever, let's say 6 years. It's going to be a really hard sell, because I'll have to talk at a very technical language. I'll have to give them a technical solution about how we've come up with a new large language model in a totally new way, and you're probably going to get them through a white paper or something. Like the idea that I can say how to quickly and easily make LLM work 25 faster will actually result in them just saying, "Listen, I think you're bullshitting us." So realizing that the languaging that you're using allows you to grab certain types of people, okay, and that's the point we're trying to make here. Right, then comes the product research. This one became, so I used to do a lot of product research before we launched something. There were 2 reasons for it. The first one is that it costed a whole lot of money when you're doing fast-moving consumer goods to launch real products, because by the time you make it, you do market research, you test it, you buy the inventory, you did the ads, you get the media buying, you've got the models in place and all the other stuff, plus the paying the large retail chains their fees to get your product in, and so on and so forth. You're looking a couple of $1 million, if not more than that, depending on how big your launch is. So we wanted to make sure that we got all of that really right. And so we did a lot of this sort of research. How are we different to the competitors, and so on and so forth. There was a lot of work to be done in how can I make this look like something that hasn't been launched before? And the hardest part was, you're just launching another body spray. You're just launching another mosquito coil. You're just launching another skin cream. How do you make it stand aside? Now, the guys who are doing the VSLs and all that kind of stuff on ClickBank, they're like the sub-million or maybe up to $10 million in annual sales. I'm talking about revenues of up to 100 million, right? This is where you're going mainstream. So the VSL is not going to work. No, the bulk of the market does not watch a 30-minute or a 1-hour presentation. It just does not. right? That gets you, if you were to look at the bell curve again, there's that small audience that's going to get you the $1 million. So yeah, it's a 7-figure funnel, but it could be a 100 million, whatever, a 9-figure funnel, for example. But for that, you need to go mainstream, and mainstream is not very tolerant of a 1-hour VSL or any of that sort of stuff, right? And so we spend quite a lot of time in product research just to make sure that we got it right. And it was because it was very expensive, because if you bombed, it wasn't a $10 a day ad campaign, right? It was a ton of inventory that you would literally just lose money on straight away. Thankfully, we never really had that much of a failure. We had one failure, and that was the day that we got arrogant and we didn't do the research, and so we paid for it. Anyway, thankfully, there was only one out of 20 or so launches that I was involved in. All right, this one here is super important for online marketers. I was sort of kicking myself today that I've never made a big deal out of it. I had it sitting in a slide here, and I looked at it and I said, "Oh, I should be." I'll do a whole post on the whole thing. So self-attribution is where you ask a silly question like, "How did you find us?" or "What inspired you to take action today?" And the reason for that is because there's a whole lot of ad spend. This is paid ad spend that is getting attribution for someone just happened to come from a referral or some online other search or some other way to get to you. And unfortunately, because of the way that the pixels work, the attribution, generally speaking, ends up going towards the paid ad side. That's just yeah, I actually tested that one time on a brand new Google Ads account, and I ran ads in the Philippines. And and it was for like kind of like lead hook is the best or something. It was a Google campaign where I did exact targeting, and like lead hook is the best or something. And I only ran it in the Philippines, and I knew that no one in the Philippines was going to search for that. So then I did a VPN, and I would search for lead hook is the best in the Philippines version of Google Philippines. And what I found was I was tracking it. I was like, okay, good. I clicked the ad once. What does it show me in my conversion pixel? In my Google Ads conversion. And after that, I actually just went to the page and clicked it multiple times and ended up on the page where it converted. Google gave me a 400% conversion on my click. It started attributing more and more and more stuff, even though my setups were a 1-to-1. I was careful that I did not. The pixels were quite hungry. It started attributing conversions to itself that didn't belong to it, because I went through from the organic side of things, and it was fairly interesting to see how the numbers that it was giving me were quite erroneous. Now, normally you wouldn't see that, because obviously it would just get any of that sort of direct conversion would represent a very small percentage of your funnel, so it just hides inside all the rest of the other data, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But in this case, because I was running a very, very, how can I put it, a very bounded campaign, I was able to see it. Otherwise, you would not be able to see it, right? So so sometimes, and by doing this, you often learn that people are finding you in other ways, i.e., your product is starting to become a brand. Obviously, this does not have that much relevance if you just launched yesterday. I'm talking about, let's say, in my case, in the case of lead hook, sometimes we do ask this. And more often than not, people join up to lead hook because of our users, because they either tell someone this is what I'm using, or they find a funnel that's already out there and they kind of try and reverse engineer it, and somehow they run into us, right? That's one of the main sources in which how we get signups. The other one is people share about lead hook in a Facebook group or something of that sort. So we get in my stats, we can see that they're the two main sources through which we get our traffic. Right now, if I start running paid ads, a lot of that will start showing up as conversions on the paid ad side. So you want to be careful in how you set that up. So self-attribution is actually quite important in understanding where are the conversions coming from, especially if you've got an existing funnel. One last method. This was something that Clayton Makepeace was a really big fan of, which is you want to sit, meditate, and introspect, and sort of almost like put yourself in the position of the person that's going through it. It's often hard to do it if you haven't had lots of psychological training on this sort of stuff. So I just kind of threw it there. If this is up your alley, if you're a little bit in the woo-woo side of things, then this can work. But if you're awfully left brain and you don't know how to feel for anybody else, then maybe you go ahead and just skip this method. And I remember when I did it, I used to do it using the emotional wheel. I still use it to this day just to sort of find sort of the words that give you a bit more than happy. Right? Like happy is not a very good word to use in copy, or a very useful word to you did of an emotion you want to create. It's respected, confident, curious, cheeky. Like those are the words that really have the punching power when you're looking at the emotional level. So you're looking at this sort of thing and then introspecting. So what you're doing is you're bringing this into, it's called priming the brain, right? And where you look at this and you go through the emotional, the feelings that you go through, and then you want to say, well, hang on, what does this person feel like, and all this sort of stuff. And you'll find that your ability to even write copy improves dramatically because you're actually going through emotions that are a bit more than the basic ones that we normally think of. So, for example, like violated, right? Like how is that for an emotion? Infuriated, right? If you were to, or dismissive, or sort of humiliated, right? Those sort of things. They really allow you to express that now in words. Thankfully, even with the emotional wheel now, you don't need to do that anymore. You just tell a good old AI machine to do it. So we compile all the stuff. We have our the interesting fact, the type. Is it a big promise? Is it an objection? Is it a rebuttal? Is it a proof element? Is it a benefit? Is it a benefit of the benefit? What's the emotional appeal? And any reference that you may want to have in case you need to back up your data in some way, or if the client is asking for, hang on a second, where did you get this damn headline from? It sounds unbelievable. There was a headline that I wrote in the personal injury space. There was a report that was done by the Insurance Council of the US, or some body, industry body. And what they found was that if you use a lawyer to do personal injury claims, which was a big plus for people doing lead gen who are selling to lawyers, you get 3 times more money. It's like a 3x more payout if you use a lawyer. And I was like, this is amazing. And so anyway, I wrote that in the headline, and the legal firm that saw it, they said, hang on, how can you say this? And I said, I can back it up with the study. And they said, oh, where's the study? So I showed it to them. They're like, wow, even we weren't aware of it. It was a slightly older study, but nevertheless, it was a study that still proved that showed that if you use a lawyer, you get 3 times more or 3 times higher payout. Something along those lines, 2.5 times or 3 times or whatever it was. Right. So I actually used that in the headline. The one thing, and I think I wrote a bullet as well, like the one thing you can do to ensure that you get 3 times more money or something like that. And so it was a curiosity, building thing we used it in the ad, and then we also used it on the lander. Right. So if you look at all this stuff, it essentially builds your customer magnet. I shared this in the sales letter for Persuasion SOS, where we're looking at someone's thoughts, feelings, beliefs, the social circumstances, the collective, the social environment in which you're making this decision, these decisions, right? So a good example of a social one is, for example, let's say if I was selling a wedding dress, or you could create a social circumstance of envy if I were to show like beautiful floors. There's a flooring funnel that I worked on not so long ago, actually about 6 months ago, and they were showing like before and after, and I said, why don't you just put like a beautiful family on the floor? And they're like, okay, let's test it out. And that actually made a difference to the conversion, right? Because what it shows is pride and bragging and kind of like showing off to the neighbors and all those sort of, because we are social animals at the end of the day. So you're going to bring those scenarios and that kind of action back into the ads, or back into the copy, back into the imagery, and all that, so on and so forth. Circumstances is where things show up in a certain period, such as in the case of wills, right? I will just quickly break state here and go to wills. There you go. This one was written in the 5 little known strategies that you can use right now to avoid legal battles. I think there was one that I wrote where I said,
You're not sharing that one, Nick.
I'm sorry?
You're not sharing that. We can just see your
Oh,
PowerPoint
sorry.
at the moment.
Sorry. All right.
Okay.
Let me make sure I have shared the right screen. Okay, 1 second. I thought I was sharing desktop 2. Can you see the Word doc? There's 5 little strategies.
It's loading.
Okay, I hope it.
Nothing yet there yet.
I can see that.
No, now we can. Now we can. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, awesome. Right, so this was it was a local newspaper ad. Actually, it's a classic old school because the audience that the lawyer is trying to get were old families and they read newspapers. So I created this one right here for the. Now there was one version of this. This is actually also done in Turkish. This is for it was meant for the Turkish audience. We did English version and we did a Turkish version. And we had to get someone to translate back then. These days, I think you just throw it into ChatGPT and hopefully, the Turkish person can tell you, yep, reads okay. And there was another one that I did. This one here, actually, they never really ran it again because the CMO got a little bit worried. So in Australia, you can get money, especially nurses and stuff like that, where you get this meal card thing if you're a nurse, and you can pay for meals with pre-tax dollars. It's a benefit that's only available to some industries and sectors. All right. And so so they were doing this big brochure type ads, and I wrote this one, how to legally steal your hard-earned money back from the ATO, which is the Australian Tax Office. And they literally they never ran it again. The client got scared. But anyway, so once again, I asked him. I said, what's so special about what you guys do? Like why would I want to sign up for this thing? And the guy's like, oh, because you'll be paying for after tax dollars. I said, why didn't you just say that? And they're like, what do you mean? Because they had like this, big, brandy type brochures which didn't say anything. So I said, let's just run this. Anyway, so the point is that's really hard to come up with this stuff unless you're doing this stuff, right? And that's my point here. Thankfully, with the stuff we're going to go through, it's much faster to do that. Now, once you create this, it's actually a large doc we're going to create, and then you talk to the doc to give you insights on where the market opportunities are and all that sort of stuff, right? And that's a few of the things that I've been playing around with recently. So essentially what ends up happening is you have your fact or your issue, and then you have your thoughts, feelings, and all that sort of stuff. And everything's broken down for you by the AI. You don't have to sit there and think. I remember back in the day when I used to do this manually, they had like about 150, 200, inventory of interesting facts or issues that were, and then I would literally go, okay, so what's the feeling that person will go through? What are the thoughts that they have about this? What are the desires they want? What does the collective look like? What does the circumstance look like? Oh, man, I'm going to do my head in. By the time you do the 150th one, you want to literally shoot yourself in the head because of how mentally exhausting it was. Thankfully, super fast now. Right, which leads me to essentially that's the sort of cycle that we'll be going through, but more importantly, this right here. So we'll go through a bunch of persuasion fundamentals. You create a customer magnet, which is that thing, and then you chat with it to give you ideas for hooks and headlines, all this sort of stuff. But there's one extra layer. I think in either is Growth SOS or in Finance SOS, I can't remember which one. One of the two. I shared this framework of 15 different appeals that have only ever won in the market, and so we use that then to get your customer magnet to give you the sort of ads to launch with, and then you cull what you think it's not going to work or based on your budget and so on and so forth. So that's what the whole thing's going to be about. But it's to really speed up this process and to start talking to your, more recently, I've learned how to turn the volume up and down on how you're asking it. So if it comes up with something that looks a little bit too GPT-ish, what do you change to make it give much more humanistic responses and so on and so forth. So anyway, so the timing felt right to sort of bring this back into the market. More so because I get a little bit frustrated because a lot of people are sort of get a bit myopic about the ads they're running. So I recently ran into someone who's running an ad and they're losing clients, and they're like, oh man, I might have to quit the game or quit the market. And I saw the ad and they're like, listen, I'm not getting prime leads from my ads. I'm getting subprime leads. And the ads basically said, how to get a house for less than, whatever, $300 or $500 a month or something. And I said, with that kind of a headline, what do you expect to get, right? So it was pretty apparent that they hadn't quite understood that by running a headline that is going to give you volume, it's just not going to give you the actual person you're looking for, because they had no concept of where this. I mean, in this case, it's a rather obvious mistake, but nevertheless, they couldn't see it. And I could see that there was no research actually had been done. All they did was they just, went to the ads library, picked up some guys' ads they'd seen like 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and they said, "Oh yeah, cool. That one looks like might be working," and you just copy and paste that. And that's not really the way to do it, because perhaps that person is doing really well, but they're servicing the subprime space, right? Maybe their clients are looking for subprime leads, or perhaps a business that is looking for subprime leads. Because they're in the space where they package it up into some asset-backed security and selling it off to investors or whatever. Right. So once again, just by looking at ad itself, or where these leads are going to go, we don't have any concept of what the game is being played. And so if you just look at the ad itself, it doesn't tell you much. It could be working, but it's working for their business model. It may not work for your business model. So I think really getting clients to tell you the kind of quality they're looking for, then it translates into the research that backs that up, and then you write the ads of this. So I told them, change the background, change the imagery, change the languaging, and so on and so forth. I haven't heard back, so I don't quite know what actually happened. But anyway, that's the extent to which I want to not quite temperature of your response. Sorry, of the API call that you do, Josh. It's the telling it that this is a level 5, do a level 6, stuff like that. Don't worry, you bought the course. You're gonna get the whole thing. So, all right. Now, Josh, you had asked about travel, so I will answer that. Well, firstly, before we move on, is there any questions on this overview that I've done today with respect to this? My goal is to impress upon you essentially is that if you know your market really well, then there's no need to do this, right? Because you're from the space, you're from that particular market. But if you're not from the market, then sometimes we often take our job as marketers to be a little bit too easy than what it actually is. Like, for example, if you're looking at solar, I mean, I can almost guarantee you there's not a single person who's running solar right now who's done anywhere near this kind of work to really understand.
Well, what you've got there, you've got pretty much full copy, yeah? With a bit of AI, it's almost regenerating old leads. So you've got one text that you can send people, and in the UK, unlike America, the text costs work out to be fairly expensive as soon as you start moving into 2 and 3 passages. And also with Facebook, if you're running an ad on Facebook, is it essential to put all that copy in there, or can you shortcut it and just find what that issue is? Like solar, you see the picture, and that picture is meant to be telling 1,000 words, isn't it? And get that click through. Or is long copy still essential?
Yeah, but if you understood the emotional tone that the market is looking at, then you will change the picture that you want to use. So, for example, if I were to use a house with just solar panels, you'll get a very different response to a happy family looking at the house with solar panels, right? So what you got to realize is that the emotional tone, or you're still emotionalizing your content. In fact, to tell you the truth, the biggest win I think in lead gen is to emotionalize the content, is to put a happy family, on the picture. I'm using it as in a very generic sense, but essentially to put humans back into the whole thing, showing about a drama. So there was I think it was health insurance or life insurance. They were running ads like, hey, I've got, I got life insurance and my family's good looked after, all this sort of stuff. And they're asking like, oh, what else should we do? I said, why don't you show a scenario where, a wife is thankful for having paid off the house, right? And I didn't come up with that. That was a really old ad in the 70s that was done by Sun Life Insurance or whatever in the US. And I've got a massive library of ads in many, many verticals. I just did a search and I said, oh, that's an interesting concept. And it was a dramatization of how the wife essentially showed that the guy who is the husband who's passed away, it was an expression of gratitude from her side. And from his side, it was an expression of love to have taking care of the family. And so we changed the tone of the advertising to reflect that. And all of a sudden, it's the same ad. It's from like freaking 1970s or whatever it was. It actually worked, right? And I had no idea it was going to work or not, but I said, end of the day, when, and in fact, I'll tell you who gave me that idea, actually. I just met David Deutsch, which is a big US copywriter. And he was talking about one of his campaigns that he ran. It was an estate planning book, an encyclopedia of estate planning or something. And the question that he was asking himself before he wrote it is that how do I make the encyclopedia of estate planning, which is dry and boring as hell, become exciting? And he used a dramatical story where how you can get your employer to pay for it. Oh, that's some US-based benefit. I'm not quite sure what that was, but the point was that he literally did weeks of research to find that one line somewhere that showed you can actually do this, because the goal was, if you've got lots of money, you have a lawyer. You don't need to read the encyclopedia of wills and estates. But if you're not that rich dude who doesn't have a lawyer, but now you're trying to get it to mass appeal, how do you get mass appeal? Well, the mass appeal has to be that I, even with only $500,000 house, can also get a benefit from this. So that employer line literally opened the door for him to talk about an entire encyclopedia of wills and estates through that one little factoid that he learned, that your employer can actually pay for it under some IRS rule or whatever it was, some sort of tax planning rule. But back whenever that ad was written, I'm not sure if that loophole is still open today. And so as I was looking at it, I was like, you know what, that is so smart. I usually gravitate towards campaigns that at face value you can't find anything about, like someone who's selling granite, someone who's selling marble, someone who's selling grass. Those campaigns interest me a lot more than if I'm going to do a health supplement, because I can go to a product formulator and say, hey, listen, can you find some herb or spice that out there that no one's ever spoken about? Can you whack that in here at this level so it looks that there's efficacy? And now I can build an entire campaign around the product, because I've actually manufactured it for marketing, which is quite different to, for example, the mosquito coil example that I shared in the Facebook group. How do you talk about mosquito coils when you have no advantage? You can't change the active ingredient. The only thing you can change is the size and the color. That's it, right? And we drove an entire truck through just size and color. I actually thought that was going to be our biggest bomb, but it ended up being one of our biggest successes. Is because, and all we said was that in order to kill mosquitoes, you want to use the black coil and not the green ones. Even the ad was so dodgy. I was like, oh man, this is gonna blow up in our face. I had zero confidence it was gonna work, but it actually just flew, because what happened was on the retail shelf, everything's green, and in an ocean of green, you've got red sitting there, or black, or whatever the color was, and all of a sudden it stands out, right? It's a juxtaposition. And those are the things that really kind of interest me. So because once you can do that, so which is why a lot of you are in a category, like you're limited by sort of what you can say about home loans. You're limited by what you can say about life insurance policies, right? You're very limited by what you can say about investment products or loan products. So how do you change the game? The positioning about that is about the little factoids that you learn along the way of some guy who was able to do something with this something, and you do that. So for example, I think in the life insurance, the ad we wrote was they were literally we showed the guy at his mailbox, and I think it was a solar. Yeah, he looks at the power bill, and he's like, and he smiles, and the guy's like, "Why are you smiling?" He goes, "Oh, my power bill's zero." All right, or whatever it was, right? And he goes, "Zero? How'd you get zero?" Right? Because because of this government rebate or whatever the heck the next bit of the ad was. So he showed a little bit of drama, but that came out of a Pew Research study that I had read, where they spoken about how some people are really able to eliminate their power bills or reduce it substantially. And I said, oh, that's an interesting. I didn't realize how much impactful it was. So we used that and we dramatized it into a scene for a YouTube ad, I think it was. Right. So I hope that kind of gives more context that no matter what problem you're looking at, if you dig deep enough, you'll find some way to retell the story that someone's never heard before. It's the newness of the concept is what gets the click. It's not the fact, because I could say, hey, how to get a will, get a will for $39.99 or whatever. You can now the price angle is only going to work if you've got nothing else to say. But if you've got something to say, then you really can build. And so I think one of the ones for wills and estates that work really well. This is for an offline ad, so I don't know what the translation of that would be for Facebook. You could still use it, which is how to prevent a family war. All right, and it was an entire ad that I ran on that idea, because I went to the lawyer and I said, and he said to me, hey, we're gonna run some ads on wills, and I said, all right, what is the messiest thing that you run into here? And he goes, oh, you've got no idea, man. Brother hating brother, sister hating father, like it's literally just outright war. And I said, all right, how common is that? He goes, well, it's common enough, and so on and so forth. And so I said, okay, tell me of a client where it was really, really bad. And so he said, like, it was I think it was mom and dad passed away, divorced, dad married someone else, mom married someone else, they had their kids, the partners claimed the money, and the original kids got nothing. And so they put claims in on the mom and dad's assets. And so this was what the lawsuit was about. I was like, wow, that's messy as hell. So I dramatized that whole thing, and the headline basically was something along the lines of how to prevent a family war. Are you doing your part before you start a family war, or something on those lines? And that did really, really well, because once again, I'm not talking about a will. I'm not talking about wills and estates. I'm talking about a family war. And then we transition into the fact that, listen, one of the ways to prevent a family war is to have a good will in place, and so on and so forth, and life insurance policy, blah, 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 all the estate planning stuff. And contact a lawyer right now so he can work you through it, just make sure. And I remember adding a line in there saying, even if you have had a will done more than 12 months ago, you should get it reviewed, because the laws have changed, or something on those lines. And what I was doing there was is to cater for that person who thought he's already got a will done, so he doesn't need to redo it. And so what we did was we increased the addressable market by adding that one line in.
Yep.
Oh yeah, hey Daniel. Sorry, I meant to answer that. It'll be about 4 weeks, but but based on the questions you asked me, it might be 6. Yeah. So I start most of my courses with 4. I rarely ever finish them in 4. Sometimes they go to 8. It's essentially, it's like, hey, we're struggling with this, or I want to spend more time on that, or the questions you're asking expands what I should be delivering, so I'll add in extra bonuses. I think every course I've done so far, all intentions, all good intentions are to finish in 4, but I do adjust it, because the point is, it's not about me knowing the material, it's about you knowing the material. So if you're telling me that you're not getting the material, or this is moving too fast, or you would like a bit more help on a tangential subject, I'll go and I'll build that out. And yeah, because the point is, it's to give you the outcome, not to give me I already got it. So yeah, so I hope that kind of makes sense. My goal here really is for you guys to walk away from it. I think with the tracking one, I said 4, but we went to about 9 or something, because it just took that much longer to explain some of the more technical concepts. I think Josh was in that one. And sometimes we'll take a break or two in a week or two if I need to go back and do some research. But usually, yeah, I know my stuff reasonably well. So, or like a wedding, or I don't know, something turns up in the middle, then we might have a short break. But yeah, we do it as long as you need help. And if there's an extra help that's required, then I'll do an extra call. So yeah, that's how I run my courses. They rarely ever pre-plan. Even the outline I give you, I throw it out if I don't get, if I think that that this is not the right way to do it. Because in my mind, I'm like, I think I'm going to teach in this order, and then we start the course and like, oh crap, that order was shit. So let me just redo the whole thing. So I just go back to the drawing board and redesign the whole thing up. So usually that's how I do my courses. It's a typical, just like running a marketing campaign, right? You launch, and then you realize feedback tells you what to change, so you go change it.
Sorry, Nick. One more question. Is it going to be like an everyday meeting?
No.
Is it going to be once a week?
It's on Fridays. I think it's this my Thursday, my Friday morning, 6 a.m. So I believe for the US, it's going to be about, I don't know, 10, 11 or whatever it is. I optimized it for US and UK time zone. So this time zone, actually. So you guys will all be okay. So yeah, so we go for an hour or two, sometimes up to two, and it's weekly. And there's a bit of homework to do. And then we review the next week, like, hey, how did you go? And then, did you struggle with something? There's a Facebook group as well that's already set up. And so you can, hey, struggling with this, or this is not quite working out. So then I'll go back and either add supplementary videos directly in the Facebook group itself, or I'll be like, hey, listen, you know what? Fine, we went down the wrong rabbit hole. Let me redo what we need to do, and let's cover that in this week's course. So I do use the sorry, Josh, I do use the Facebook group for your live feedback, and then when we jump on the calls, you obviously give me feedback too. And yeah, essentially the point is to give you the outcome so that you're comfortable with this stuff. Obviously, some of this stuff is going to be new. There's going to be some new prompting techniques and so on and so forth. So I'm guessing we might go over the 4-week mark, but I'd rather, what I like to do is the purpose of the course is not to sell you consulting at the end. Okay, so I want to get that out of the way. This is not a front end product to a back end. I hate doing consulting. It's a lot of work for the amount of money I get. So I'd rather not do it. So most of my courses are self-contained. I deliver everything that I have to on the course itself, and then that's it. It's kind of like the full thing's done. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it's $9.99, and I'll add the link right now. Actually, in fact, I wanted to take you through that because that was one of the questions that someone asked today. Let me share that with you. So someone asked, how can you do like a fancy graphic for the transition? And so I'll just share that with you because the entire thing was built inside LeadsHook itself. And I will show you, it's a very simple funnel. If I had more time, I'd probably do a bit more personalization. So that's the link. All right, that's the live link. So Trevor, for your benefit right here, right? Right, so that is that bot part. That's this one here, right? And just ask for a quick question, struggling with the persuasion, so on and so forth. All right, so I'm just going to go Nick here, and then onto the sort of quiz power, the quiz part, which is, so now we in this. There's only 3 questions. I'm just going to pick some random questions. All right, so I'm going to go funnel hacking. I create ads by doing this. Yep. And you see this part here, analyzing your answers, almost there, Nick. And based on persuasion, this could be the next best step. And then I personalized it there, and that's the full sales letter. So that little transition thing is actually just this. They just spinners with personalized language. There you go. First name underscore comma, analyzing your answers, and so on and so forth. And that's all I've done. I've just added in the transition node 3 times to make it look like there's actually something going on behind the scenes. But otherwise, this is generated in real time. And the actual sales data actually has been used using our custom page node. And it was so yeah, because it just meant it was just faster to get someone to just code it up and put it right in. So that's what that. If I had more time, I'd probably use results and results pages to do all that. Oh, by the way, it looks like there's an update that has changed. Data validation has been added right here. Okay, on that note, I will talk about this. There you go.
Is this across all accounts?
Yeah, all accounts. Yeah, this is production. So yeah, it looks like it just went live. So
that
you
is
can
amazing.
yeah. So there you go. It's gone live. The other thing you'll notice is there's a new type of node. This is for the US. Anyone doing US leads here you've got US zip codes here, right? And so you just enter and say it saves it into a specific custom field. But what we're doing is just as a bit of a side show here. A UK one is coming very soon. you've got all these custom fields that are automatically populated based on every zip. So for the zip, you'll get the age of the percentage population that's in the age group. You'll also get, like, for example, the disabled, divorced population, the density. There's, I think, some income stuff here as well, and so on and so forth. And the reason for that is, so talk a little about the use case, is you get a much richer profile of where your leads are coming from and what do they look like, with another vantage point, which is this. And that might give you some analysis, maybe give you some understanding, like, wow, I didn't realize that all the people in this area are young families or old people or whatever. Gives you some extra, or the household income levels between so on and this range to this range, and so on and so forth. And that might give you an extra indicator of how to change the ads, right? So essentially what you're trying to do now is to do all this stuff here, essentially your customer magnet part, in real time. Is giving you more information about who this group is that is coming through and buying from you. And that allows you to then really go back and say, wow, I didn't realize, this insight or that insight. How can I use that in my ads? How can I use that in... So there's a couple of things in Facebook that I'm playing with right now, where you can expand the addressable market by writing ads that are of different emotional values. So it's something I'm still playing around with, but I will share it during the course about how to structure it, right? To give more stability in your Facebook ads, because everyone tells me, Facebook does this and it just drops, or at least in some of the markets is the most common complaint. So we'll be looking at a bit about how to fix that up. Yes. Anyway, Trevor, there you go. That's the link right there, and this is how to do the transition part. I will get rid of that. Any other questions of anything we've covered today?
Nope, just pretty standard from you, I reckon.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else?
Can you go to that layers thing, Nick, and data validation?
Yes. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. So okay, obviously there's a little, so just give us a day or two. We're gonna fix this shit up. All right.
Nice.
Okay. So what you've got is almost always you're gonna do the context. It's the context of the addresses. So for most people, it's gonna be addresses what you use. So i.e. my street address. But let's say if you just want to do postcodes, like you just want to do a node for postcodes. So now you can do a node for postcodes, and then a little bit later, if they still qualify and now you want the full address, you can actually ask for the full address. So you can use the node multiple times. You're not limited by one usage, right? So your first node could be just postcode, and your second one then could be the full address. Now, obviously, when you give it the context of a postcode, then it's actually going to be searching for postcodes. So the query is really, really fast. That's the whole point of doing it. Like, why search for millions of addresses when you're only looking for postcodes? So put postcode in, and here is the sort of what's going to be displayed. So if you're doing postcode, then you should probably go and pick one of these ones. So this is going to give you a search where it's going to display the postcode, but it's also going to give you city, the region, i.e. the state, and the country. So if I go 90210, it'll be 90210. It'll display Beverly Hills, California, CA, and USA. Now, if I just want to display the number, then you can just go 90210, and that's fine as well. But it's kind of nice to sort of put one of these other ones in here, or maybe that one or that one. So at least it's sort of reconfirming that I did get the address right, or did get the number right, rather than just making someone enter in just a 90210 number. But it's your funnel, it's your choice. We don't really care, how you do it. We just, I'm providing you the variety of things that you can do to construct your funnel, and then you use however you want to use it. Does that answer the question?
That's awesome. Nick,
Yeah,
is this US? You say this is US only at the moment?
No, this is global.
So this will work for Australia and UK?
Yeah, Australia. This addresses are global.
Okay.
Yeah, that other node that I shared, that's only US for now. Right, just a zip code one. In fact, honestly, when we thought addresses were going to take months to deliver, because the data set is so big, and I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take. So So the team was like, hey, man, we can give you an easy win. Let's do this as US zip. I do US zip, we launch it, and the dev team goes, oh yeah, by the way, we did the address one too, it's done. I'm like, oh crap, man, come on, because what we can do now is based on the address, we can just append the zip code data against the zip code that you get for the address. So you don't have to use this. So it might be one of those features that we have added in and we'll remove just as quickly. Because, well, in the sense that it's not going to be a separate feature, it can be added because all of that has been covered for by this one here. But I will leave it as is. Just want to make sure that it performs as expected. But that's how it's going to be. Yeah. So you're going to have so if you're looking at your Google, your previous versions, Postcoder, Google Ads, whatever, they're still available. Otherwise, you can go to here. The good thing is that we obviously control the data, which means we have a lot more control. If you say, hey, listen, can you, I don't know, add something in or whatever, there's a lot more we can do with this. While with Google, you're limited by what Google does. So yeah. Also, you can limit it by
a small test for now. Or?
I'm sorry.
Small test for now until it's
rolled out for a bit. Well, the data set's running. We've done hundreds of tests, but once again, we do hundreds of tests while you guys do millions of tests. So run it at a small in a small test first, just make sure that you're happy with what's coming out or what's it delivering, and then yeah, give us some feedback. It is new. The other one is this one here, which is anyway, something wrong with the display here. We'll get that fixed up. So if I pick a particular longitude and latitude spot on the map, I can actually like say, hey, listen, only within a 50-mile or 50-kilometer radius, give me those leads. So what it's going to do is going to find the address, and it's going to say this is within the radius, or not, and then you can do something with it. So you can either put a decision node and divert them somewhere else to a competitor, another funnel, second offer, whatever. But that it's because the last thing you want to do is, because one of the complaints we got, or not really a complaint to us, but more like clients tell you, man, the lead you provided was outside the blast radius, and so it gets a little bit annoying, and so now you got to refund them or whatever. It's a dupe or whatever, right? So that way you avoids dealing with that nonsense, or reduces, I should say, dealing with all that.
Nick,
Yes.
for future, what might be useful is to upload a set of postcodes, because that's what some of our clients need. Is like, we've got different clients have different postcodes. If we can upload them all to like a CSV or whatever business will allow, that would be useful. And then we can send them off depending if they are within that set of postcodes or not.
Okay.
For different nodes.
All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. No, that's a good one. Thank you. I'll see if I can find a quick win for that. I think we can. So how big is the list of postcodes?
I have to check with the team.
Like we're looking tens of thousands, or you're looking at thousands, or looking at hundreds?
I'd say hundreds. How many postcodes in Australia, for example?
Okay. Okay. So you're looking at just Aussie postcodes?
Aussie and UK for us.
But you're looking at a small subset of postcodes, right?
Correct. So it'd be a subset of the total. Some stuff would be like country towns would be less.
Right.
It's too far serviceable areas.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right. Leave that with me. I think I already have a solution for you. So let me think about that for a sec. All right, Daniel. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Canadian addresses are covered in this. Yes, it will.
Subset of 3,000, Eric.
Yeah. So in your case, so Daniel, you asked for Canadian postcodes. What I would do is I would look at postcodes, and then I would limit it by country. So I would come down here and pick, not country, I would pick Canada. There you go. And that takes care of Canada. And it only search for postcodes because you give it the context of a postcode with the country of Canada. Okay, so hope that kind of helps you out. So that means but then on the node itself, so let's say if I go save, then what you want to do is on the node itself, wherever that was, you want to indicate, you want to say, please enter your postcode, because that's what it's going to search for. Sorry, I should have told you that the other thing you want to do is to pick the actual thing. Yeah, so maybe you'd go for that option. So it'll be a Canadian postcode with the name of the province, or the name of the city, I should say, and then it's going to be the province, Ontario, or whatever. Yeah.
Nick, just regarding the postcode formatting for, say, if you did pick Canada, is that all inputted so they connect? So that's all done for every country, so like they can only format it and it'll only validate once they've put the right formatting.
That is correct.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the 3,000. Hey, Josh, in your case, then I would just use a number field or maybe a text field, and then just do a lookup on Google Sheets to bring you back whether the postcode is in the list or not. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it allows you to manage that subset in real time. So let's say if you've got a VA who's managing the number of postcodes you've got sitting in the Google Sheet, if that number of the values or the number of postcodes in the list should change, there's no need to update anything inside Leads Hook. You just go and remove the postcode from your Google Sheet, and that's it. The minute you remove it, the minute you remove the line or add the lines, if it were to increase the list, it would work instantaneously. The other thing would be that you could actually maintain multiple lists as well. That's probably the most scalable solution that I can think of. I was thinking of the drop down as an option, but that won't work if you. So let's say, for example, if you've got 50 clients and they have 50 different postcodes or sets of postcodes, then that's going to be really hard because now you're going to be managing a lot of that stuff inside Leads Hook, and just the sheer copy pasting, all that sort of stuff can result. Yeah, it just won't be a very smooth user experience. So I think it would be better if you just have an API node connected to Google Sheet. That way it's truly scalable. The API node itself, you clone over and over and over again, and you can then send it to the sheet as well. In fact, in your case, what I would do is I would actually add in one Google Sheet and one Google Sheet doc, and have each of the tabs as being your subsets. That way, your API call that you're making to the Google Sheet itself is a singular one, and you would pass the sheet ID as a variable.
So the sheet could look up through
Hey, Nick,
all the
I've got to
different
shoot.
No worries. That's soon, mate. See you, Neil.
Right. Yeah, I'll update this. I've got that link and I'll get everything sorted.
Done, mate. Thank you. See you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, mate. Bye. Sorry.
So the
Josh,
sheet could look, right. The API call, is it possible to look through all the different tabs that are on the sheet, or just one tab?
Yeah, no. So I'm thinking one tab at a time, because you'd have each tab for the client.
But you can do a single API call from Leads Hook to the sheet.
Correct. Correct.
And then it'll look through each of the tabs to see if it works for the client.
Correct.
For one of the clients.
Correct. For each client.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that
also means you manage in one place. So let's say, for example,
if
you've got 30 clients, you have one Google Sheet, you have client A, B, C, D, all the way to 30, and you would have your postcodes sitting inside that sheet. And the API response would be, if you find a match, return back true or yes or matched. And if you can't find on the list, then return back a false or no match. And then you would just save that in a custom field saying matched or no match, and then you would use a decision node to indicate whether it was match or not match, and you would then divert. If it was match, obviously they continue with the funnel. If it's not match, then you would, whatever you're going to do with the non-matched people, you would either redirect them to some other funnel, or you sell them something else, or whatever the alternate action is for those leads that don't qualify. Then you can do whatever you want with them. Now that's also quite scalable, because now you'd have one API node which you just clone or drag and drop on every decision tree, and would always be searching for the same Google Sheet.
Is it the same documentation you had previously, or was things been updated?
That's it. Yeah. In fact, just ask 4.0 and it'll give you the script.
Ask who?
Yeah, as in the Google Sheet script. Just get ChatGPT 4.0 to give it to you.
All right, great. 4.0.
Yeah, pretty easy. But if you get stuck, just reach out, man. Happy to add a video into the into the group if that's a common question. I think I did that. I shared that with. There was a question there recently. around how do I make sure I don't have duplicate leads. So that example, what I shared was make us when you find a new lead, add it to the Google Sheet, and then first search the sheet. If the lead does not exist in the sheet, then obviously it's not a dupe. And then once you confirm that on the next node, you would then go and update that sheet with the lead, so that when that lead comes again, in that very first search that it does, it actually you know what, I'll take you on it. It's
What scale would that work to, Nick, if you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of past leads?
For that one there, in that particular case, the guy who posted, he was only doing hundreds of leads a week. So I think Google Sheet will do the job. If you're doing tens of thousands of leads a week, then I don't think Google Sheet is going to work. So for that, we have a database node coming up very soon, which will mean that you can really throw away all this Google Sheet crap. But until we release that, that's the answer. And that's going to be database node, and so which is of unlimited capacity.
Rough EDA, no commitment, of course.
All right. Let me let me get back to you. I haven't had a chance to chat with the team on it, but I know it's because I was chatting with one of our devs about it last week.
No, because that's something that'd be cool to have all the data that's not being passed through on the database, to see where people are falling off. Yeah.
Now, in your case, since you're working quite closely with clients, and this is for everybody who's on the call, if your sales cycles are long, i.e., more than 7 days, because most ad networks won't accept conversions that are later than 7 days. So, say for example, I don't know, if you've got a lead today, and I don't know, the person bought a new loan or whatever it is, in 2 months, then if you try to update that into your ads manager, saying, hey, I got a conversion 2 months from now, it's not going to accept it. It only gives you a very short window. So what's happening is there is a suboptimal optimization happening at some stage, especially if you're wanting to track actual revenue stuff. And so you want to be a little bit careful, because you're optimizing for leads, you're not optimizing for revenue or sales. And for that reason, the way to do that is that you need to ensure that you pass all of your lead data into a Google Sheet or any kind of analytics platform. And then when the final sale happens, that the lead ID gets pushed back to you or into the Google Sheet. You can import it, do a VLOOKUP or something, and associate that conversion data and the dollar value of the product that they bought. So let's say, I don't know, lead ID ABC bought solar panel worth, I don't know, 50,000 versus, lead ID XYZ bought solar panel worth 10,000. And so what starts happening is you will learn two things from it. Well, one most important thing is, firstly, the type of people that are actually converting, and that may change how you do targeting, how you write the ads, and so on and so forth, right? Stuff we've already covered many times over. The second thing that you start learning is what is a sales cycle that actually is happening in real time, which impacts your ability to fund your business, i.e. your cash conversion cycle and all that. And all that starts reflecting in the data, because you can see like, whoa, hang on a second, I've got, I spent, so I got the lead on the 1st of Jan. I paid Google on the 7th of Jan for the lead itself, because they dinged my card. And then I sold the lead here, or I gave the lead to the sales team here, and they bloody converted the guy here. And that tells me like, oh crap, that's like a 4-month wait list. So I have to carry 4 months worth of ad spend before I'm getting liquidated. And then, so obviously based on the margin you're making and so on and so forth, you've got some pretty hard business decisions to make. And you can't just let your media buyer now just run wild, because he can actually send you broke because your cash conversion cycle is too long, right? So there are some financial implications or your business model implications that turn up when you start to track when is the actual lead coming through and when you're paying for it versus when is the revenue coming through. So if you're a lead generator where you're getting paid on a weekly basis, it probably doesn't matter too much. But I know that some of you do run real businesses, or you're working with clients that obviously are running real businesses. And so your ability to just say, buy more leads from me is not a very smart conversation unless you've understood their sales cycle. Because if they've got really long sales cycles, then their ability to buy more leads from you is dramatically reduced, because they've got to cash flow it out, right? Because they got to fund it. So if that's the case, then your a proposition could be, let me help you fix your sales cycle up and bring it tighter in. And I've had a few guys who've gone down that rabbit hole, and they've been able to really tighten up the revenue quicker. And because once you get it, like, hey, listen, you know what? They're buying in 3 months. What can we do? Can we message more frequently? Can we change the type of messaging we're sending, and so on and so forth? It's obviously a qualitative exercise, not just a quantitative one. It's just a matter of just firing more emails and SMSs. It's a matter of just understanding where are these people coming from? Can we change the nature of the sales conversation, so on and so forth, so we can bring the sale forward, and so on and so forth. So I hope that kind of gives a bit more context why it's so important to have the data. Now, with the data, you're going to have all that zip information or the postcode information sitting with it. It just opens up another whole level of analysis you can do about who's converting. Can you imagine if you find that, like, oh, you know what, we have like 10% of people who convert in 2 weeks, but then we have like 30% of people who convert in like 9 months, and you're like, hang on, who are those people and what do they look like? And like, oh man, they're all whatever, they need financing or they need something. Okay, well, if you know that cohort needs financing, well, guess what? Get a lender on board or whatever. It changes the game in how the business is, because you're not realizing that they're not buying because they're not interested in the product. They're not buying because they can't fund it, or they're looking for loans, or whatever it be. So those sort of conversations are super, super important to have along the way, and you can't see that unless you have the data. Anyway, hope that helps.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, no problem, man.
The travel stuff we're talking about, so you get to that.
Yes, all right. Thank you for bringing that. I was just racking my head, going, what was that other thing that I had to do? Okay, so travel. All right. So once again, because we've spoken a lot about market research today, so the thing to realize is, what does this travel agency do? Are they the top end selling high end stuff? Are they selling low end stuff? Are they like what sort of travel agency is it, and what are they actually selling? Do they sell packages? Are they selling flights and just hotels? Can you give me a bit more context?
So package tours within country. We're thinking about flights if needed, but I was trying to avoid that to start off with. Small logistics. Okay.
All right. So can you give me an example of what a typical package that is being sold or will be sold looks like?
So includes pickup from the hotel when they arrive to whatever the capital city is.
Yep.
Travel to over a number of days, including bed, breakfast, and activities for, like, let's say, a 10-day package.
Okay. And what type of hotels do they stay in? Do you have a range of hotels, or it's like?
Yeah, it'll be homestays, local kind of experiences.
Okay, all right, okay, so more like a homestead kind of a thing. All right, okay, so if that's the case, then where you'd so there was a luxury travel campaign that I worked on many years ago. That was for Leeds Hook, where we asked them to select the type of experiences that you want to, so enhance your visit to Vietnam or whatever. So something on those lines, like make the most out of your trip, or sort of elevate the trip that you're going to have, and that would be kind of like the big hook. And then what do you enjoy? I enjoy temples, I would enjoy local cuisine. I would enjoy, staying with, I don't know, in hostels, or I would, whatever, 5-star, so on and so forth. And what it tells you is what's the mix of stuff that they're aware of. And then you'd essentially have profiled them. You can redirect them on, if they're booking online, then you would essentially filter it in some way. You can pre-filter it. Most shopping carts or allow you to filter. So you'd pass that filter in the URL from the DT itself. That way it does a search in real time and only presents those packages for which they are most suitable for, based on the criteria they gave you about the type of experience that they would like to have. And that is, to me, almost like a virtual salesperson. It's almost like you're walking into a travel agency. So you're like, hey, listen, you're going to Vietnam. All right, well, what kind of things do you enjoy? Are you into the local food scene? Are you into only the 5-star dining? You don't touch the local stuff because you're worried you're going to die? Or you want the 5-star experience? Or you want to rough it out for a couple of days to really give you a sense of living, in a totally different country with locals. And So yeah, so you could then theme it, right? Like the cultural thing, or the food thing, and so on and so forth. You know, maybe beach, mountain, I don't know, whatever else that country has to offer. You would break it down into categories, and you would ask them questions like pick one. You know, would you be this kind of person, that kind of person? Would you be this kind of person or that kind of person? And at the end of it, you get a fairly good idea what sort of experiences they. And obviously, you'd ask things like, you know, how big's your group? You know, is just you, just a couple? Is it you and your family with kids? How old are the kids? Who's the younger? How old's the youngest kid? So on, because that may obviously change the appropriateness of the tour that you give them. But once you've captured all the data, it's a matter of then just whatever the next step is, you can promote it in that way. If it's a phone call, then it's a phone call. But no matter which way you do it, you've understood now what type of a product, or what type of an offer, or tour in this case, that this person is most suitable for. So you don't waste time with giving them the 5-star banner, what do you call, brochure, or promoting 5-star stuff if really they just not interested in that. Like I've got a cousin of mine, like he's fairly well off, but whenever he goes on holidays, he likes to stay in a hut somewhere and all that kind of stuff. He likes to sort of really go go 1-star when he was on vacation. And so while just looking at him, you'd be like, oh yeah, no, this guy's a 5-star customer, but he's actually not. He's actually like a 1-star customer, because he's trying to add a little bit of or at least feeling of
adventure.
of adventure. Yeah. So, but he still flies first class there and back. So I keep telling you, you're a hypocrite.
The virtual travel agent idea seems cool.
Yeah, that's essentially what that is, and that would be the first place I would start, and then take it from there, because it teaches you two things. Number one is we got the wrong type of packages to sell. like everybody's looking for the whatever the type of tour, or they're picking answers that you don't have a solution for. So there's like, okay, well, let's go find some tours that can cater for this market. So it acts in two ways. So let's say, for argument's sake, for every 100 leads that come through, let's say you learn that 30% are looking for, I don't know, some type of package, some type of experience that you don't have, right? All of a sudden that opens up an opportunity right there. Like, oh wow, I better go talk to more tour providers to fill this need for 30% of my audience that's coming through, that is asking for that kind of experience. Or you're like, crap, we've over optimized for a type of tour that nobody wants, or that the market is telling us that they're not really interested in. So it works both ways. So and the reason why this makes sense is because you don't have a travel agency and you fail because you forgot to you fail not because you didn't have a right tour. I mean, sorry, you failed because you had the wrong product, and not because the idea was bad. Like the business itself probably has a lot of merit, but you're selling the wrong product. So this ensures that you have the right availability of the right products for the market that's coming through.
I guess you could customize it initially with what you do have, and then the ones that are coming through the package you don't have, then you can just say to them, what's the best way to contact you, or be in touch with some options soon.
Correct. So one of the things to do would be to talk to an aggregator of these tours, or wherever you can purchase these things from, and sort of have those relationships being built. That would be the salesperson or the purchasing person's job to have that sorted out. So that if you start learning that, hang on a second, we've just really got the wrong kind of crap being sold here, well, you very quickly can fulfill that need, rather than, hey, I'll get back to you in 6 months. Because it may not, I don't know what the timelines are, but that may or may not be the more appropriate way to resolve the issue. But regardless, the market research data will come through to tell you what product you should be selling them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, good question. Right, any other questions? Paul, Trevor?
You talked about stuff like flight stuff, and question about that. Should you add that even if you're not doing the flight stuff, just to see whether it's
absolutely
needed?
Have you yeah, so I guess you could start the DT with have you already booked your travel? So is this an add-on adventure I'm looking for, or I'm still whatever, I'm still in the inquiry phase? So if you're looking at the sort of this is an existing a person who has already bought the holiday and now they're looking to enhance it, or are these people who are actually looking to book the holiday itself? So are they like step 0, step 1, I've bought nothing, or are they've already got the hotel, they've already got the flights, and now they're looking for something else? So yeah, you should ask that question, so at least you have a fair idea, because what it tells you is that you can't change the dates, right? If I've already booked my holiday, then I need to make sure that the tour happens while I'm there. While the other people, you could be like, oh, actually, if you book a week later, you might get another 30% off, or whatever the heck it is. However, yeah. So one allows you to make a deal, while the other one you have to ensure that it's fulfilled in the range.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
I guess how many days and those kind of questions would be relevant if that's the case.
Correct.
What about the how soon question? Would you do something like that?
How soon would be covered by have you already booked? If you've already booked your
if you haven't booked, how soon are you looking?
yeah,
no path.
yes. What months are you looking to travel? And you can even guide them, like Jan to Feb is rainy and Feb to March is sunny, and whatever else you could actually. So pick whenever you're thinking of. And that's a nice, it's a nice way to add value as well, because you're letting them know through just the question itself that what periods are not a good time to visit.
That makes sense. Would you add some open-ended questions like
not at this stage?
What reason?
No, not at this stage. Not at this, I'm not open-ended, but you could say, what's the purpose of the trip? Holiday, a well-earned break, I don't know, wedding, what else is there? Like an anniversary, that kind of thing. I don't know, Bucks night or whatever, bachelorette, that kind of thing. Divorce party or something.
It happens.
Depending the country, you could talk about finding a partner or whatever else there is available.
Find a girl.
Yeah.
Or a guy. Thailand.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, let's see.
What else? That's cool.
Okay, I wanted to share this. Don't tell me I lost it. I did lose it. Crap. Sorry, there was a funnel that I was going to review. It had to do with where'd it go? Lifestyle. If I find it, I'll do it. If I go right to the end, it was solar. It was solar. There you go. Could do one of these ones. In the UK, they're doing a swingers festival. There you go. In case you want to cater to that audience. Extend your marriage.
So there's plenty of direct search available for these kind of terms, Nick, but would you go after that, or is it worth going after social traffic?
Yeah, no, just social traffic. Yeah, just social traffic. All right, let me see.
For tourism type stuff.
Absolutely, because it allows you to share the visual experience, right?
Instead of going forward direct search.
Yeah, no, well, no, definitely search, because that's going to be a direct search, i.e. you want to go to Thailand or whatever. But the competition would be fierce. So I would test it out, but I'm a bit concerned whether a tour company can compete.
I was surprised the Western countries, the CPLs was extremely low.
Okay, if that's the case, then obviously test it out. But you'd be coming up against your Qantas's, Expedias, and all those type of guys, right? So, all right, hopefully, there we go. Life cover, not life cover. This one was insurance. I think it's that one. Oh, there you go. Solar panels. And what else? There was another solar one that I saw. There you go. There's a government rebate. Right there. What else we got? We have there you go, seniors, car insurance. There you go. All the lead gen funnels are showing up. That's what happens when you're good targeting. Oh, there you go. There's solar. That's the one. This is the guy I was looking for. All right. Cool. So one page. I'm just going to share that. In your country, obviously, you might get a different set of ads, but you will still be, oops, to everybody. All right. Okay, so I was going to talk about this one here. All right. So solar panels, 7 in 10 Aussies don't know this. Right now, this was an opportunity to, while you can have solar here, you can probably have a power bill, and then maybe with a stamp on it saying slashed or something, right? So there would be indicative, a much more indicative of what this is, because all you have is just that real estate.
Nick, sorry,
Yeah.
you shared the news.com article.
Yeah, I did. That's where I'm pulling the. Sorry, can you see news.com.au on my screen?
Yeah, we can see that. We don't see the solar panel stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's because it's on the next page here. I'm about to open it up. So do you see the
Yeah.
solar panel ad?
Yeah, we can see that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just talking about the ad here. So this was an opportunity to add a bit more to the page rather than just showing in a Lebanese guy repairing the solar roof or whatever, right? So it was, because what is the ultimate goal I'm looking for, right? So at first a lower bill, but what's the impact of the lower bill, right? There's a happy family, steak dinners, all that sort of stuff. So while you could present that as an alternative test option, and or something more direct, which is going to be the lower power bill. I'll put that right here. But have a look here. This is 7 in 10 Aussies don't know this, something about solar panels, right? So that's an open loop, not a very good one, but nevertheless, it is still opening a loop. I land here. It says thousands are applying for government rebate to install solar. Right? You see how the conversation shifts, and I see it almost in every funnel. It's 7 in 10 Aussies don't know this, and I'm like, thousands of Aussies gonna missing out on I'm like, hang on, I'm not quite there yet to apply for a solar funding thing. While that may be the solution, it doesn't carry on the conversation from where it started. It started the conversation at 7 in 10 Aussies don't know this. Then I should come here saying how 7 out of Aussie 10s are overpaying in their power bills, or whatever the next line would be. Right. So hope that kind of, sorry, Paul, you're saying?
Skipping steps before they're ready to buy. You need to kind of like a step at a time and then move them along.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Now I may be like, okay, I'm curious now because I'm maybe in the solar market, so I'm curious. I'm like, 7, I don't know this, or maybe don't know about how to buy solar, don't know something, right? And I land here and it's telling me about thousands can be applying government funding. Yeah. So all of a sudden the job of this page now is so much harder because it's a totally different conversation. And don't read your next power bill until you read this. That's not what you started with. So I think just taking this and putting into ChatGPT, if the person is not a copywriter, and just saying, hey, listen, this is the kind of what my ad looks like, and this is what the headline that I'm using in my ad. Can you please align this much closer so the conversation finishes here and carries on here? Would probably do a better job of this than what is being done over here. That's not to say that the editorial itself is bad. It's not a bad editorial actually, but the point is that it's an editorial. Does not, language-wise anyway, it does not necessarily belong to the conversation being started here. Now, if they did want to test this, then I would actually talk about here, saying government solar, rebate, ending soon or whatever. Right. So still clickbaity, but it's a conversation that's starting that it relates to this. Or if I want to go, don't pay a power bill until you read this. Well, then say that. Don't pay a power bill until you read this, and maybe show, I don't know, some power bills before and after or whatever. And that would be a conversation that I could start with this as my headline. So the point is that no matter what assets you've created, so let's say you've created this advertorial itself, there's 3 different ads here, right? There's one ad right there. There's one ad right there because they're different conversations, which means I can have another 2 different types of ads that I would create that I would send to. One would be to this one would be to this one. And then similarly, I would then go and create an ad for this and an ad for this. and I would add that over here. So now I've just taken a good ad that perhaps is a good ad and a good advertorial and made them match up to each other, therefore getting a far better response than sort of sending a good ad to an unrelated but good lander. Anyway, hope that made sense. This
Cheers,
guy
mate.
here is just wasting money. All right. Okay. Artificial intelligence. Okay, this goes to some VSL. That one could be okay. That's a very price-based one. So if they're looking for volume, then that would be a great way to do it. Car insurance of it. Okay, this is obviously wow. So obviously the numbers are backing out, right? Look at that. That's from some other, not sure what country that is. But anyway, they're obviously arbitraging here. There's another one, and there's a same guy right there. Now this ad was totally something different. I clicked on something else further up. So they're going 7 solar panels. Maybe it was this one. There's another solar. Maybe it's that one there. Smart energy. Where does he go? Okay, software. Okay. So think about this. I've gone from electrician reveals one simple to slash your power bill. I land here. It says artificial intelligence. Right. Okay. So it is talking about power bill by 91%. Okay. That's a bit more related. All right. Anyway, hope that gives you some idea. So these are a few of the things we'll be really tightening up. And what it does, it stops you from needlessly wasting money. That's the whole point. Okay, the end goal here is we're not doing better ads just for better ads' sake. We're doing better ads because any ad spend that's being spent here that is not going to the right place is probably not going to perform. Which means you've just whatever ad spend is being wasted here or is being spent that does not return some friends is actually just wasted. When it didn't have to be that, all they had to do was just take a little bit, another day or an hour or whatever it is, and just align things a bit better. As a result, if this did fail, then you would judge this as being failed. Can you imagine if this thing has a high click-through rate, and that has a low conversion? Right? That's probably what's going to happen here. So how do you fix this then? Right? And so you're like, oh yeah, that's crap. So you run more creatives, or you're like, oh, my lander's shit, so I'm just going to run more landers. Not realizing that ad just doesn't belong to the lander. Easy win. Right, guys. If there's any more questions, there's none.
No.
We'll chat to you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Paul. You had a question?
No. Thank you. Cheers for today. It was good.
That's great, Nick.
No problem, man. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Jay. I know your mic is not connected, but I hope you're doing well. Let's chat same time, same place next week. Good night, guys.
Thank you.